All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope your holiday was great. And I know some of you are off this week, and that's terrific. Enjoy the downtime. And those that are still hustling to finish up their year and their work and aren't retired, then I know that grind all too well. I don't really miss it, chasing sales numbers and quotas and getting everything in the door. So interesting. All right. So in the markets, looking forward to the market here, even though they're not as active. I suspect we may, in fact, be up today in the markets. Let's talk about YIELDMAX. All right. So up here, declaring on 1226. So if you want to get any of the TSLY through the, YMAGs and YMAX and TSMYs and everything in this list here, then do so today. Ex-dividend is 1227 and payday will be 1230, which I assume is Monday. Yes. All right. So some decent payments, some interesting. One thing that I added here, I thought, okay, and also this payout was showing, December 2nd. Some people, again, depends on how you count it, right? Whether I counted it as December, this one is still paying. And why is this? Before they would have been totally separate months. Because remember, YIELDMAX went into this thing with the group A's and B's and C's. And so group A got going first. So it just set up this situation, but everybody has these pays. Um, so I'm counting 6 months on all my work over here. So just look at the number in the yellow. So TSLY paid $1.28, right? 1.286. So no, that's the scenario there. Um, we had 32 cents, 30, almost 33 cents for ARK. So next to it, I have the yield for this particular payment, right? I'm always changing it for the particular payment. And the price, I'm always using the closing day prior to declaration day, right? In this case, we had Christmas on 25, obviously, and you use the closing price from 24. Now, kind of interesting. And then the other color coding here that I did, this isn't a negative number when it's red. It's simply, is it up over the previous payment? I don't want to run you guys the numbers and say, yeah, I think it was like 15 something. So it was quite a jump up, but all I do is turn it green. If it's exactly the same, it's white. If it's down a penny, it's red. If it's up a penny, it's green. Okay. So just know that. And on the 6 month basis, I go back to, July 2nd, used an arbitrary date for all of these different funds and the different groups, and including YMAX and YMAG, and then said, okay, well, what's the 1124? Now, it's not technically, it should be 1-2, right? So you got to have another week in here for, so understand that. But in general, and everybody has 6 payouts except the last 3. But what I did is I accounted, and YMAG and YMAX do. So the only guy that was impacted here, let me see if you can see this small comment. In Excel, if you put a comment, so there were only 4 payouts. But what I did in order to get 6 is I just multiplied the value times 1.5, right? So you see up here, this was a 0 and this was a 0, and then they got 4 payments. So we need to do 1.5 to get to 6. So that made it $3.50. So when I double that for an annualized payout, everything is in line. So you've got to do a little more math. And I think this is the thing you want to see. This is the 6-month payment amount, right? Now, some of these, actually, all of these in A are still the $20 stocks. They're not the $50, right? There's some as you move forward that are $50 ones. But also with TSMY going up, you were actually had a gain here. This thing had been down, right? So interesting. First three pairs, OARK is interesting. OARK, um, it's not a bad yield, right? Yield based on price, right? And and these guys are all on the 13 times a year payouts on the monthly, and these guys are on the 52 because it's just a weekly payer. So when you run down and you see all of your payment data here, again, I've learned to keep this cursor, you guys have told me. So here in yellow are your payouts, here are your yields, right? And I tended to highlight 50%, and actually Crush had a higher than 50%, but I got to talk to you about Crush, guys. It is just, as you know, so it's the inverse, right, of Tesla. And when one is performing, the other isn't. There was some of that theory why buy them both and it all works out. Well, yield is there, but I don't care what anybody says. And I know there's a bunch of people that hate NAV erosion and all that. Call it what you want. Call it, you know, discounted NAV price, whatever. Okay. There's always NAV erosion on ex-dividend date. That's normal. That's a different subject. But do you want to buy something that's paying you a yield and then just is going down, 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 right? I don't. So that's why I do what I do here and point this stuff out. So look in Crash's case. Sure, you paid 37 cents last month, but look at where you were $8 last month. You're now 603. You're seriously about to be reverse split. When you get in the fives, you will be reverse split because you're not allowed to trade below $5 on the major indexes. Okay. So that's why in the fives they reverse split. So just letting you know. Now there's yield chasers, but you know, it's like the guy goes in and says, I'm going to play blackjack, and he bets big on every hand. He loses 70% of the time and he wins 30, and he focuses on his wins. But what'd you walk away with at the casino? Did you win for the night or did you lose for the night? So that's what this total return number is meant to be. So right now in Crash, just in 6 months, you've had a 34% negative return. Yeah, you got 26.38 yield in total, but you bought it at 15.20, and I get it sometimes. If you want to bottom, I mean, ARK's kind of an example. ARK's been trending up. This was in the 10s last month, right? So has it bottomed? I don't know, but it's seemingly, right? And it's also above its 6-month price. So, you know, not bad. That way, when you get a yield of 18%, you get to add. So look at Tesla. I haven't been a lover of, I love Tesla. I don't love Tesla necessarily, right? It just never seems to get the highs on the way up and gets killed on the way down. And, you know, it's nice to see it paying and it's nice to see it up over 6 months. But look how far. There's so many ways to play that. If you're in a 2x for just several, 2, 3, 4 a month in that thing, you've just killed it. Income fund, not so much. And I get it. I know some people, I'm not, look, that's what I report on. I'm not trying to tell you don't buy income funds. I'm just telling you, if you don't just have to have the income. Realize there's some other ways to play these things. Yes, it requires a little bit more trading and a little bit more activeness, but I'm not talking about day trading kind of thing. You can have a job and do some of the things. It's not exclusive of that. All right, so GOOY, look at the jump in GOOY, 63 cents from 28 cents. So GOOY, the yield isn't that great. Now look at the stock. Also, it's 1854 down to 1577, right? And those are your, your losers over here. GOOY has gotten to the point where it's lost now on its 6-month total return, not getting enough yield to offset that. Whereas ARK, I mean, most people have hated ARK, I think, right? You bought it at 20 or 19 or 18 and you saw it go down to 10 or 9. I'm not sure what the bottom was. And it may have even been in the 8s. And now you got a 20% total return. Pretty healthy. If you annualize that, that's a 40% return, right? That's what you do with the 6-month return to annualize. You just double it. But then again, on crash, you've got a 68% total return loss, right? You may have a 52% yield, but you lost everything. At this rate, it wouldn't survive, right? We all know that they'll reverse split it, but then you have half as many shares, right, as you had before. So anyway, there's where I'm going. Snowy, 12, 21. TSMY, again, what I did here is I multiplied this times 1.5. It was like 2%. Now it's a 3.2. You do the same. Whoops. I probably should do that on the yield. Yes. So that yield is going to be higher than that. So it's a very good performing fund on that basis. I'll fix that. I'm not going to play around with it right now and keep you guys in this. All right. So YMAX 1929 at 6-month yield and 1557 for YMAG. But look at that. They're down. 1968, 1785, 21, 23, 2021. So a much less loss over here. But YMAX had the bigger payout, so I can remember everybody going, "Oh, I got a 40% return." Well, you know, you may get that in a year in YMAX, but that's probably not that repeatable. All right, guys, so that's pretty much what I have for you. I wanted to get this out quickly this evening. These are your total dollar amounts paid out, and if they're less than 6 months, then I calculated it at the 6-month rate, and then you just double those numbers over here, right? But you can also just double your total return. All right, guys, that's what I got for YIELDMAX. Have a great New Year's. I'll probably have my comparison and a couple other things out going into the weekend, or anybody else that still has to get stuff out. All right, again, this is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for fun and entertainment. See ya.